Okay, colleagues, welcome back, and welcome to what is the inaugural meeting of the Northamptonshire Shadow Schools Forum. As you'll have seen, we have a short agenda for this afternoon's meeting, and the first substantial item of business is the election of chair and vice chair. I have asked colleagues for any expressions of interest in those positions, and I've had a few respond. Firstly, if we can deal with the position of chair, can anybody indicate if they are interested in taking on the position of chair? We will put this to a vote. I assume everyone can hear me. And we have no takers. This, I would remind you, is for the Shadow Forum, so it's only until March next year. After the 1st of April, the forums will meet and be effectively reconstituted as sovereign forums in their own right. So do I have anyone who wishes to put themselves forward? Okay, I was going to try and sit it out, but I've got no expressions of interest in the position of chair. Unfortunately,
Paul, I was going to say I'll happily put myself forward if Joe doesn't want to, but if Joe wants to, I would stand aside.
James, I was just sitting there willing you to say that.
Okay, so James has put himself forward. I think I've given it a fair.
Only if Joe doesn't wish to do it.
Joe, if you could confirm, please.
I'm happy to pass to James.
I think we've given it a fair opportunity for anyone else to put themselves forward. So could I have a formal proposer for James, please?
I'll second it then.
Okay, so Joe propose and Paul second. Thank you very much. So can I just, if anybody is against that, could you please show? Any abstentions? Congratulations, James. We now need to call for nominations for vice chair, and I'll hand over to James at this point.
So do we have expressions of interest there, Paul?
I have had an expression of interest in the position of vice chair, which I think was from Paul. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. I didn't feel comfortable putting myself forward for chair, but I would very much be happy doing a vice chair.
So are there any colleagues that would like to put themselves forward for that position? I would take silence and eyes in the opposite direction as a no for that. So we need to vote on that, presumably, Paul, do we?
Yeah, if any members showing against.
Yeah, so if we vote for against, say no, and any abstentions. No. So congratulations, Paul.
Thank you.
Okay, Chair, the next item of business is the constitution / terms of reference.
Great. Hopefully, Paul, I haven't got the agenda for this section with me. Are you able to screen share? That would be really useful.
I can, yes, absolutely, no problem at all. Just bear with me. Okay, so this is the agenda for the meeting. As you can see, it's succinct. We've taken apologies as part of the main meeting. I didn't think there was any any value in going through that again. We've undertaken the election of chair and vice chair, so the only two items of business for this meeting are the terms of reference for the Shadow Forum and the ratification of votes taken at the previous meeting. I will share the terms of reference. They're quite detailed. Effectively, these the statutory guidance for schools forum covers the framework within which the schools forum operates, and then each forum can decide various means of operation itself. So in this case, it's matters that we've effectively already taken decisions on, such as the size and shape of the forum, which is recorded in there. You'll be pleased to note that it's compliant in terms of the proportion of schools representatives to non-schools representatives. We've just covered within the document issues that you would expect to see, such as the process for meetings being held in public, how observers and substitutes work, where we'll publicise papers, the functions of forum at section 11 is particularly important, so it shows where forum has decision-making powers and where it's a consultee. We've also covered voting quorum and other arrangements, so fairly detailed. Much of it reflects the statutory requirements. There's a little bit of local choice in there. Happy to take any questions that members might have.
I suppose one key thing there is there any substantive difference between the terms of reference here than for the Northamptonshire Schools Forum?
Only in the sense, Chair, that I've updated them. So the Northamptonshire ones they were updated about 3 or 4 years ago. So I've just had a refresh to make sure that they're compatible with the latest guidance from the DFE. And obviously everything in there is time limited for the shadow period.
Yeah. Any other questions from anybody on the terms of reference? Great, and we need to vote on that now, do we? So if we do that in exactly the same way, so if anybody wishes to vote against, if you just raise your hand now. Any abstentions? Great, okay, so we can adopt those. Thanks, Paul.
Okay. So last item of business for the North Shadow Forum is just to ratify the votes that have been taken thus far, and I'm afraid that does, in the case of item 9, mean doing the line-by-line vote again. What we've done this time is just to separate out the budgets that are applicable to the North. So you'll see the North figures in here rather than both figures. So, Chair, would you like to go through the? Yeah,
I'll go through those in front of me. So, again, I'm just going to bring up a grid view for that. So again, if we do that in reverse way, so if people wish to vote against or abstain, so any for the growth fund budgets from 2021 to 22, any votes against? Any abstentions? Great, so we'll take that as passed unanimously. And then we've got a vote, I think, on then the high needs update 2021. Is that right? Was that a vote? I've got the
no. There will be at the next meeting, but we didn't take a vote on that one.
No. So that's for January, presumably.
Yeah.
And so the next vote's for the DSG 2021-22. Is that correct?
Yes, I've got this up on screen now. This is item 9, the Central School Services block. Again, DSG was going to be an item on which we would vote, but that's because of the delay in the funding announcement, that's January as well.
Fine, okay. And so if we do this again line by line, so for contribution to combined budgets, any votes against? Any abstentions?
I've got one there, Chair.
And the next line is the school's budget and the centrally funded termination of employment costs. Any vote against? Any abstentions? And then for admissions is the next line, a 0.48 million contribution from the North. Any votes against? Abstentions? And next for the £11,300 for schools forum, votes against? Any abstentions? And then for the education services grant, 0.86 million, votes against? Any abstentions? And then the final vote is for the headroom in the school services block, which is estimated to be 0.22 million to offset the overspend in high needs for 2021. Any votes against? Any abstentions? Perfect, thank you. And the PFI item only applies to the West, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, and we'll be taking a vote at that for the West in January. So we've just got schools balances, SB1 form, sorry, for which I think Pat is the only North maintained representative present.
Pat has given that the thumbs up.
Noted, thank you very much.
We'll call that unanimous, Pat. Thank you. And then I can see just on the agenda, so the next two meetings, the aim again is for them to piggyback onto the Northamptonshire forum. Is that correct?
They'll be on the same day, yes. Whether they'll piggyback onto the Northamptonshire forum or whether it'll be the other way around, I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
But it may well be that we try and have more substantial shadow forum meetings with the sovereign forum taking a lower profile. I'll discuss with colleagues before we have that meeting.
Great. So do colleagues have any other items for any other business? Great. So if we then declare the schools forum for Northamptonshire closed.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So any colleagues who are North only, you can leave if you wish to do so. Otherwise, I'd propose we move straight on to the West Northamptonshire Shadow Forum. I'll just wait for colleagues who are leaving to do that. Again, the first item of business is the appointment of a chair. I haven't had any firm indications that anybody in the West is interested in this position, but we do need to appoint a chair. If we can't appoint a chair, we will have to appoint one on a casual basis just for the duration of this meeting. So does any members of the West Northamptonshire Shadow Forum wish to put themselves forward to chair for this meeting and the next two meetings?
if I'm allowed to, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to chair a meeting.
Thank you very much. Are there any other volunteers?
If somebody else wants to volunteer, that's fine.
I think everyone else may have taken a step back, Peter.
Yeah.
Okay, could I, if there are no further nominations, we'll take that as, can I have someone to formally propose, please?
I'll propose that, or second it, either way.
Oh, okay, I'll take you to propose and Vanessa to second. Thank you very much. Are there any members who are against that proposal? Any abstentions? Okay, I therefore declare Peter the chair of the West Northamptonshire Shadow Forum. Peter, over to you. Your first item of business is the appointment of a vice chair.
Have we had any nominations for vice chair?
I had one expressions of interest, but that individual's, I'm not sure, has taken on the vice chair of the North Northamptonshire Shadow Forum.
He's very welcome to be vice chair as well.
They might meet at the same time.
Yeah, they might do, yeah. Anybody else will have to go at vice chair? I promise not to turn up to meetings as much as I can. It's got to be the onerous task in the world being vice chair. Oh, is somebody waving? Is that Vanessa?
Yeah, I'll stand for vice if.
That's very kind of you. Thank you. I'll propose Vanessa. Somebody want to second it?
I'll second it, yep.
Thank you. Anybody against? Anybody abstaining? Good. Congratulations, Vanessa.
That's okay. That's on the proviso that you turn up for the next 3 meetings.
We'll move on to the terms of reference. We've all had a look at them at the previous meeting, haven't we? They're the same, aren't they?
Yes, I can confirm that. Well, the only differences are the word north has been replaced with west, and the membership is very slightly different because of the way that the school population breaks down in the west is slightly different. I think there's one additional maintained primary school representative, albeit that position is vacant at the moment.
Okay, great. So I assume everybody's happy with them. If you're not, shout.
Can I just ask, Paul, do we have the membership numbers for the West, like the North had? We've got a full.
The total number of members on forum is 17 schools members and 5 non-schools members.
Okay, thank you.
So we do have a number of vacancies, particularly we've got some vacancies in the academy sector and one in the primary maintained sector. There's also a vacancy in the maintained special schools sector, where I think we've approached both of those schools and neither is expressed an interest in wanting to join. So we will have to carry that as a permanent or semi-permanent vacancy for now. But work to try and fill those vacancies will be ongoing.
Okay, thank you. Everybody else happy? Good. We'll move on to the votes. Are we happy to approve the growth fund budget 21-22? That's it, yeah, of 0.99 million. I don't see anybody objecting. Anybody want to abstain? No? Well, I can't see everybody, but I assume you're all happy. Shout if you're not. Thank you. I think that's been approved. We'll move on to the central services block. We have to go it line by line, do we?
I'm afraid so, Chair, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so 2.3 million for the combined budgets. Anybody against? Anybody abstaining? Excellent. I'll take that as being approved. 2.14 million for the school's budget centrally funded termination of employment costs line. Anybody against? Anybody abstaining? We're all happy with that too. 0.96 million for admissions. Anybody against? Anybody abstaining? All happy. We'd better vote for 0.02 million for the schools forum. Anybody against? Anybody abstaining? The previous education services grant. Anybody against? Anybody abstaining? We're all happy. Headroom, estimated headroom. Anybody against? Anybody abstaining? No, I think we're all done with that one then. And then it's the school balances. Now that's only maintained schools. I've no idea who's maintained schools here.
It's Vanessa.
Vanessa, are you happy, Vanessa?
I'm very happy, Paul. Thank you. Peter, sorry. Yes, thank you.
That's good. Excellent. Thank you very much. So we've done all that. Any other urgent business? No, the dates for the next meetings are there. Thank you very much for attending. That was the shortest meeting on record, and I'm happy with that.
And long may it continue.
Absolutely.
Same